Hello guys, I am Sasikumar and this is day 24 of improving my communication skills skills. This is day 24 of improving my communication skills and I am Sasikumar from Civil Engineering branch of Batch 2K23 and my hometown is Gidor. I am right now in Gidor and we are reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, the Nobel book, finance book, and we are in chapter number one, and we have covered almost three part of first chapter, and we are in last chapter of this first lesson, that is seeing what other miss. So without wasting any time, see as he climbed into his pickup truck outside the convenience store, Rich Dada said, "Keep working, boys. But the sooner you forget about needing a paycheck, the easier your adult life will be. Keep using your brain, work for free, and soon your mind will show you ways of making money far beyond that I could ever pay you. You will see things that other people never see. Most people never see these opportunities because they are looking for money and security. So that's all they get. The moment you see one opportunity you will see them for the rest of your life. The moment you do that, I will teach you something else. Learn this and you will avoid one of life's biggest trap. Mac and I picked up our things from the store and waved goodbye to Mrs. Martin. We went back to the park to the same picnic bench and I spent several more hours thinking and talking. We spent the next week at a schools thinking and talking too. For 2 more weeks, we kept thinking, talking, and working for free. At the end of the school Saturday, I was again saying goodbye to Mrs. Martin and looking at the comic book stand with longing gaze. Okay. At at the end of the secondary Saturday, at the end of the second Saturday, I was again saying goodbye to Mrs. Martin and looking at the comic book stand with the longing gauge. The hard thing about not even getting 30 cents every Saturday was that I didn't have any money to buy comic books. Suddenly, as Mrs. Martin said goodbye to Mike and me, I saw her do something I had never seen her do before. What's the thing going on? Wait a second. Okay, fine. Mrs. Mrs. Martin was cutting the front page of the comic book in half. She kept the top half of the comic book cover and threw the rest of the book into a large cardboard box. When I asked her what she did with the comic books, she said, "I throw them away. I give the top half of the cover back to the comic book distributor for credit when he brings her in the new comics. He is coming in an hour." Mike and I waited for an hour. Soon the distributor arrived and I asked him if he would have the comic books. To be delighted, he said, to my you can have them if you work for this store and do not resell them. Remember our old business partners Remember our old business partnership, Will? Mike and I revived it. Using a spare room in Mike's basement, we began peeling hundreds of comic books in that room. Soon our comic book library was open to the public. We hired Mike's younger sister, who loved to study, to be head librarian. She charged each child 10 cent admission to the library, which was open from 2:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. every day after school. The customers, the children of the neighborhood, neighborhood could read as many comic as they wanted in 2 hours. It was bargaining for them since a comic cost 10 cents each, and they could read 5 or 6 in 2 hours. Mac's sister would check the kids as they left to make sure weren't boring. They were not boring any comic books. She also kept the books, logging in how many kids showed up each day, how they were, and any comments they might have. Mac and I averaged $9.5 per week over a 3 months period. We paid his sister $1 a week and allowed her to read the comics for free, which she rarely did since she was always studying. Mac and I kept our agreement by working in the store every Saturday and collecting all the comic books from the different stores. We kept our agreement to the distributor by not selling any comic books. We burned them once they got too tattered. We tried opening a branch office, but we could never quite find someone as trustworthy and dedicated as Mac's sister. At any early age, we found out how hard it was to find good staff. 3 months after the library first opened, fight broke a fight broke out in the room. Some bullies from another neighborhood pushed their way in, and Mac's dad suggested we shut down the business. So our so our comic book business shut down, and we stopped working on Saturdays at the convenience store. But Rich dad was excited because he had a new things he wanted to teach us. He was happy because he had learned our first lesson so well. We have learned to make money from us by not getting paid for our works at the store. We were forced to use our imaginations to identify an opportunity to make money. By starting our own business, the comic book library, we were in control of our own finance but dependent on the employer. But we were in control. We were in control of our own finance, not depend on an employer. The best part was that our business generated money for us even when we aren't physically there. Our money worked for us. Instead of paying us money, Rich Dad had given us so much more. That's the first chapter in which two guys, means Mike and main character of this book, they are got bullied by their rich friends, and whenever the rich friends to gather for some party, then they are separated, yeah, bullied just because they are poor. So our writer talked to uh, his his father. He told you should start earning, means you should do something to get money. So they start collecting the toothpaste and making some elements from that. But as the ratter's father and his friends come to their home, then they see they are doing some illegal things for that. So they try to stop him, and they suggest that you can talk to your friend's Mac's father. So they decided to talk to his father, Mac's father, and they meet to him. First, Mac's father suggested to work for a company, Mrs. Martin, one of his employer or some partners, where they both have to work for every Saturday 3 hour for 10 cent, means 10 cent for 1 hour. So as every Saturday go to the Mrs. Martin company, restaurant, something. There they have to work and get paid 10 cent per hour. Uh, so after a while, after 2 or 3 weeks working, they are getting tired or something, thinking about like how can this is too much less payment we have taken from that Mrs. Martin. We have to take more charges, taking more money from that. So after that, one other meeting was scheduled with Max that where they teach us so much things. And Max, our writer robot, Robert T. Kiyosaki, was thinking about we talk to my fathers and we will charge too much much amount, but somehow uh, their Max dad teach something so different things. If you work for money, then you can't think out of the box. You just think about securing your job like that things. And they give a real life example, and their respective employees, they are doing same things, so you have to do something different. Then that person may convince Max and means robot, means our writer, you have to work for free, then you can think about how to generate a business and how money can work for you. So so they were ready to working for free. So after working a few weeks, and then one day, uh, Mr. Mike comes to their store, Mrs. Martin store. Their both child was working. Then they take for a walk, and there they told them that you are going to learn some things. You have to focus on all those things. Then so on last day, Mike see Mrs. Martin doing some things with comics book. Then they have some idea, and they collabs with distributors to make a library of comics books where they collect comic books. And one employee allotted for that Mike's sister, younger sisters, and they charge for 10 cent for some things. And 2:30 to 4:30 class library was open. Their children goes to read that books, and approx $9 they earn per month, like that. That the first business they are doing. After some things happens, and the first business was shut down. But the things they imagine, if we can do something else to earning that money. Not if they were working for money, 10 cents 30 cents for in Mrs. Martin, then they cannot think about more. They cannot imagine something else. They are just working for money. So now money is working for them, as they open the library, comic book library. So a study session, chapter one, the rich don't work for money. So summary for chapter one, lesson one. When he was 9 year old, Robert Kiyosaki and his childhood friend were not invited a classmate's beach house because they were poor kids in an affluent school. After being told by this, after being told by his poor dad, his father, who was a teacher and made a good living but always struggled to make ends meet, to simply go and make money. He and his friend Mike did just that. They collect empty toothpaste. They collect they collected empty toothpaste tubes, which at that time were made of lead. Means the toothpaste tubes were made of lead. They melted them and down and used plaster mold to make counterfeit nickel. Means simply at that time when the writer was doing all those things, the they were collecting toothpaste tube, that in our Colgate and all those things, toothpaste. They collected that and made that, because that time that made by lead. So they are melted that and make nickels. They were soon set straight by Robert's dad, who told and them they should talk to Mac's dad, who never finished eighth grade but run multiple successful business. Mac's dad, the rich dad of the book title, agreed to teach them, but on his terms. He had then, I think someone comes. Mac dads and the rich dads of the book title agreed to teach them, but on his terms. He had them work 3 hours every Saturday morning at one of his convenience store, dusting the food packaging and cleaning. He paid them 10 cents an hour, which Robert usually spent on 10-cent comic book. Fairly quickly, Robert grew disenchanted with the boring work and low pay. When he told his friend he was going to quit, Mike told him that his dad said to happen. Mike told him that his dad said that would happen, and the robot needed to meet with him. Robert's dad, as the school teacher, used lecture. Mike's dad was a man of few words and taught in a different way, which Robert was about to find out. The next Saturday morning, Robert went to meet Mike's dad, but was kept waiting in a dusty, dark living room for an hour. He was fed up and emotionally by the time he got to complain to Mike's dad, accusing him of being greedy and not showing him respect. When he said Mike's dad hadn't taught me When he said Mac's dad hadn't taught me anything despite with agreement, the business owner calmly disagreed. His rich dad explained that life doesn't teach you with words, but the pushing you around. Some people left life push them around, others get angry and push back against their boss or their loved one. But some people learn a lesson from it and in fact welcome like pushing them around because it means they need to learn something. Those who don't learn the lesson spend their lives blaming everyone else and waiting for a big break, or decided to play it safe and never risk or win a gig. He told Robert that he and Mac were the first people who had ever asked him to teach them how to make money. He had more than 150 employees and though had asked for a job, they had never asked for the knowledge that Robert and Mac asked. So the he had more than 150 employees, and though they had asked for a job, they had never asked for the knowledge that Robert and Mac wanted. So the rich dad decided to create a course that mirrored lab and pushed the boys around a little. Robert asked what lesson had learned. Other than that, his rich dad was cheap and exploited his workers. The rich dad challenged him on this, saying that most people blamed other when in fact their attitude was the problem. What would solve the problem? His brain. Max dad told him. He wanted Robert to learn how money worked so he would who, so he could make it work for him. He was also glad that Robert was angry because anger combines the loves to create passion, a key component of learning. Money would not solve the people's problem. He went on. Many people who have a high-paying job still struggle with money problems, like Robert's poor dad, because they did not know how to make money work for them. He said that the emotion robot had failed working for those 10 cents an hour. Disappointed, disappointment and feeling like it wasn't enough was was what he had feel like his whole life if he didn't learn the lesson now. He introduced robot to the concept of taxes, explaining that the poor and middle class allow the government to tax them, but the rich don't. He asked if Robert still had a passion to learn. When he said yes, the rich dad told him he was going to stop paying him for the work at the store. He told Robert to use his head to figure it out. Robert and Mike worked for free for 3 weeks. Mac's dad showed up and took them outside for a talk. Asking if they had learned anything yet. They hadn't. The rich dad told them if they didn't learn this lesson, they had been like most people who worked hard for the little money. their whole lives. He offered them 20 cents an hour, which they resisted. He upped it to $1 an hour per hour, then $2. But Robert stayed silent. A final offer of $5 per hour, a princely sum at that time, solidified for Robert, that he wouldn't be bought. The rich dad said it was good they didn't have a price. Most people did because their lives was controlled by the fear and greed. Fear of being without makes them work hard and earn a paycheck. But once they have that money, greed gets them thinking about all the things they could buy, which makes them need more money, which makes them spend more. It's what the rich dad called the red race. Red race. He told the boys that the first step was admitting to themselves what they were feeling. Too often, people reacted to their emotions instead of thinking logically. They were afraid to admit money is running their lives and so many controlled them. It's not just the poor who face that fear. The rich often operate from a place of fear. He wanted to teach the boys to not just be rich because money doesn't solve the problem. The school is important, he told them, but for most people, it's the end, not the beginning. And the key for the boys was to learn to use their emotions to think, not to think within their emotions. They must learn to choose their thoughts. He told them to keep an eye out of for he told them to keep an eye out for ways to make money, saying, the moment you see an opportunity, you will see them for the rest of your life. The boys did, and soon they saw an opportunity in creating a library where kids could pay an admission fee and read as many comic books as they could in 2 hours. Unsold comic books that otherwise would, uh, would have been thrown away from the convenience store. They made a great profit, and the business did well for about 3 months until a fight in the library shut it down. They had learned the first lesson of making money work for them. Even when they were not physically present, they were ready to learn more. Max dad was ready to teach them. Left hemisphere moment. Despite having a high paying job, people like Robert's poor dad struggled to make end meets. Right hemisphere moment. Left hemisphere that despite having a high-paying jobs, people's like Robert's poor dad, struggle to make ends meet. Rat hemisphere moment, looking at the discrete comic books in a new, creative way to lead a business opportunity. Subconscious moment, people let the emotion of fear and greed rule their lives. What was Robert saying? Now it's time to reflect. Ask yourselves, what is Robert saying in the quote and why does he say that? In these sections, you don't need to agree and or disagree with Robert. The goal is to understand what Robert is saying. Robert is saying. Remember, this curriculum is designed to be cooperative and supportive. Two minds are better than one. If you don't understand what Robert is saying, don't shy away from it. Ask from help in understanding. Take the time, discuss each chord while until you understand it. The poor and the middle class work for money. Rich have rich have money work for them. Lab pushes all of us around. Some people give up and other fight. A few learn the lesson and move on. They welcome life pushing them around. Stop blaming me and thinking I am the problem. If you think I am the problem, then you have to change me. If you realize that you are the problem, then you can change yourself, learn something, and grow wiser. If you realize that you are the problem, then you can change yourself and learn something and grow wiser. When it's come to money, most people want to play it safe and feel secure. So patient does not direct them. Fear does. Most people given more money only get into more debt. It's fear that keeps most people working at a job. The fear of not paying their bills and fear of being fired. The fear of not having enough money and the fear of starting over. That's the price of studying to learn a profession or trade and then working for money. Most people become a slave to money and then get angry at their boss. Most people do not know that it's their emotions that are doing the thing. Most people don't know that most people don't know that it's their emotions that are doing the thinking. A job is really short-term solution to a long-term problem. It's just like a picture of donkey dragging a carrot cart with its owner dangling a carrot just in front of its nose. The donkey's owners may be going there he wants to, but the donkey is chasing an illusion. Tomorrow there will only be another carrot for the donkey. Some additional questions we can ask, like additional question like now it's the time to take the story in this chapter along with the understanding of what Robert was saying and apply them to you and your lab. It's me and my lab. Ask yourself the questions below and discuss with them with your study partner. Be honest with yourselves and your partner. If you don't like some of the answers you are giving, ask yourself in you are willing to change and accept the challenge to change your thoughts and mindset. First question is how money is the approach to money? How common is the approach to money taken by poor Robert's poor dad? Robert Rich dad said, I will ask this type of question with my friends and then I will do labs and I will answer that questions. I will try to answer that question. If it's about the thoughts, I will answer accordingly. Next, chapter 2, lesson 2, why teach financial literacy. The next chapter is why teach financial literacy. This is also a big chapter as you can see. Teach that word. Hmm. 50 pages of books, so we can complete it. And I will try to read in morning time when I will do some other works, so that it's cover faster than we are doing like. And as I promised to introduce myself is in right manner, was not doing that as I'm in my hometown and I have to spend some time with my family and friends, because the moment we can I came for that, so I have to spend times with my family and friends. That's why I'm not doing extra things. I was making some PPT, so that's why I was not able to do things for my communication skills. But yeah, I'm doing these things is important for me. That's why I come in this time and I'm reading this book. So as that's a normal day as gone, and at the last in the evening time when I went to the our Durga Puja area, means Pandal area, where we meet with friends and we play Uno, you know, you know, and we enjoy lots and talk with some other friends. And yeah, normal thing. Then I left my friends to their homes, then I came back to my home and I start reading the books, and I'm going to sleep now as I was planning to go somewhere in the morning. So that's why I'm going to sleep, and I am going to set alarms at 8 and 9 a.m. so that I can wake up earlier, as I am waking at 10 a.m. It's too late, and I have to eat more, and I'm not doing exercise as much I can. So I will do exercise at 3 and 4 p.m. whenever I have time. So okay guys, thank you so much, and once again thanks to Kumar Priyansu. He given me this book for reading, and I will return him as they told me to message that I have taken this book as he forgot all those things. Yeah, who which man take the which book. So I'm going every day. I will memorize that things so that I can return the books. Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good night. See you next day.